Can you guys hear me? What about now? Are you guys able to hear me? What? Can you guys hear me? You guys should be able to hear me. I'm sorry. Is that better? Is that better, guys? What about now? Is it better? Can you hear me better now? Should be a little bit better. Can you guys hear this song? Hopefully you guys can hear me too and the song. Is the sound better? I need you guys to message and let me know, guys. You guys are very inactive. I'm sorry. TikTok, people respond like that, but for some reason on here it's mad slow. Okay, so am I still quiet? Am I still quiet? You guys let me know because I'm fucking with the sound so you guys can hear me. So what I'm doing is I want you guys to be able to hear me. I want you guys to be able to hear me on here. And I want you guys to be able to hear that too. So if I'm talking over that, you can hear me. So let's do some check 1 2 1 2 whatever, right? So I'm gonna talk. Can you guys hear what I'm saying? Now it's good now? That's good. Thank you. Your loud music is quieter. Okay. Is that better? I fixed it. I think I fixed it, guys. Let me know what you think. Okay, yeah, we're not going to be doing that. We're going to be learning today. You still learn when you listen to music, but we're going to be learning about these human remains that were found down in Antarctica. And no, they're not white or black people bones. So there was human remains found down in Antarctica. People think that Antarctica is uninhabitable, but the red man is a child of the earth. Red man can survive in any climate. Red man is indigenous to all 4 corners of the earth. Red man can live in Arctic, jungle, desert, mountain, woodland. It don't matter. No, it wasn't a wobble. You know what it was? It was an indigenous American that they found down there, yo. They found an indigenous American here in Antarctica. Now you can look at the Perry Reese map. We're gonna check that out too. They show giants and different animals and shit from like dinosaur days on this fucking map. They got Antarctica connected to South America. So that Native American remains that they found down in Antarctica, Those were in South American. I believe she was Peruvian or Chilean, actually. So that's what they're finding down there, you know. They're finding our people in Antarctica. Now, they did flip the map. So natives can survive in the Arctic, natives can survive in the desert. Natives have been all over the world. If life started in Africa, Native Americans would be the ancestors to everybody, not fucking Africans. You know why? Because Africans never left Africa. How the fuck would the Africans be the ancestors to anybody outside of Africa if they never left Africa? And you can tell that they never left Africa because of how dark they are. So, how the fuck would they be the ancestors to everybody if the only people that took the trip from Africa all the way to Antarctica, right, through North and South America, the only people to take that trip would be the indigenous Americans. So the only people to leave that actually took that are truly indigenous to the planet to all four corners would be indigenous Americans, because if life started in Africa, that means we left the Africans in Africa, and then we migrated to the Middle East, left some people in the Middle East, migrated to the Eurasia, mingled with some Neanderthals there, migrated to Southeast Asia, took the hybrids with us from Eurasia and made them mingle with some fucking Denisovans there. Took the hybrids with us to fucking North and South America, and we kept going to Antarctica and beyond the ice wall. Fuck. The migration, that's if if life did start in Africa. That's if, and that's a big if. Life didn't start in Africa. Life started in America. So I'm gonna show you another map that shows the oldest Homo sapien remains, and it shows it on the beach in Morocco when Africa was connected to the Americas, because Turtle Island is Pangea, right? Native Americans, we're pre-Adamites, yo. We talked about this yesterday in class. How Native Americans are the oldest people on the planet. We're pre-Adamites. Anybody that's indigenous, anybody that is aboriginal, anybody that's like from a tribe and has like that can't trace their lineage back to Adam and Eve and Noah, Japheth, Shem, or Ham, right? Indigenous people cannot trace their lineage to that because, like I said, we are pre-Adamites. We are older than them. People, we are the original inhabitant of this planet. The Native American is. That's why we're the ones that call the Earth Mother Earth. It's not Mother America. It's Mother Earth. Not Mother North America. It is Mother Earth. I am a child of the Earth. Not fucking... I'm not a child. I'm a man of the Earth, right? I'm a being. That's what we are. That the South was North and the West was North and South. Yeah, yo. So, that's what I'm saying. They flipped the map, yo. They flipped the map. You know what? And that's not true, Crazy Weasel Bear. So Crazy Weasel Bear on YouTube says, I read somewhere that the native believed that the east was south, west was north, south was west, and north was east, like a ball rolling on the ground. So what I know from my people, our word for north means cold. So, you know, that's what I mean. When our word for cold is atoe. Atoe, it's cold. Atoe. So our word for north means it's cold. Come on. So no, I don't fully agree with that statement. Maybe other tribes, but my people were in the Northeast where it gets real cold. Buffalo. Y'all know how Buffalo gets with the storms. Yeah, that's why we didn't live in teepees. We didn't live in hogans or wigwams. We lived in longhouses. 3-story tall, quarter-mile long longhouse. We built New York City, Buffalo, Niagara Falls, Rochester, Syracuse, Utica, Watertown, Schenectady, Albany. Those are all Haudenosaunee Iroquois buildings that were built by ironworkers, skywalkers, roofers, Haudenosaunee Ongwehonwe men. Men enrolled to the Six Nations. Our people are known builders. The red man is a hard worker. Just so you guys know, the red man is one of the hardest working men out there. You could go to any Home Depot or Lowe's and go pick up a bunch of red men for $50 to $100 an hour to work. You can't do that for any white people or black people. Whew. My bad, yo. Anyway, let's get back to what we were doing. So you got New York Giants. You hear all the time about Seneca Giants, Iroquois Giants, Stone Colts, Stone Giants. You hear all types of shit about these giants. So, if what New York tribes do you know besides uh the Six Nations? What New York tribes do you guys know besides the Six Nations? So, I know New York tribes. One starts with a P, one starts with an S. I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna see if you guys know it. So, engage. Ask questions. Share knowledge. Oh, we're putting this in the book too. Yes, this is definitely going in the book for sure. Ooh. Yeah, so that's gonna be going in the book. So wait till you guys get this book. I'm not gonna be making no coloring book. I'm gonna be making a hardcover picture book that proves it's gonna be called Life Began on Turtle Island, not Africa. That's what it's gonna be called. But yeah, yo, there's all types of stuff out here that I'm saying is like, hold on. So let's get a good look at this. He's saying that's South America. And if you look at the Perry Reese map, right? Let's take a look at it. He's saying this is South America. And it looks like that's Africa, right? And it looks like there's those blemiers. So who knows what a blemier is? Wait till you see these guys. These are what blemiers are. They're headless people.
They say history is written by survivors. But sometimes, history is also written by those who survived something so terrifying, so unnatural, that they could only describe it with shaking hands and fading memories. In the dusty corners of ancient libraries, in fading maps drawn by trembling cartographers, and in legends whispered at the edges of the known world, there exists a creature that should not exist. A creature that appears everywhere, yet belongs nowhere. A creature so anatomically impossible that its very existence feels like a biological scream against nature. And yet, everyone drew it. Everyone described it. Civilizations separated by oceans.
There he is, and look, you got the dogmen too. So if you look up, dogmen have been seen in native culture. We used to call the white man, the pale face, dog face, because their beards, yo. They are some hairy ass people, yo. If you're a Hanji and you're pretending, saying you're a fucking native, yo, you better not have a fucking beard, yo. Natives are not hairy people. That's why we grow our hair long, because there was an ice age here, right? And it covers our back, because we are hairless creatures to keep us warm. Not just only connects, it's not only your antennas to the spirit realm, there's some science behind it. But, yep, look up St. Christopher. Look up St. Christopher, yo. You'll see a dog-headed man. They depict one of their saints as a dog-headed man. St. Christopher.
Deserts, empires, and millennia all reported the same being. A towering giant with no head atop its shoulders, whose face, eyes, nose, and mouth was embedded directly into its chest. They called them many names: the Blemmies, the Asaphili, the chest-faced men, the headless watchers. But the name didn't matter. What mattered was the shape.
Look, this one's got hair. This one looks like it's living in a longhouse. This one's living in a hut. But it looks like there's a tribe of them. And they live where there's mountains and some of these trees. And on that Perry Reese map, right here, this is supposed to be South America, yo. And that's part of Africa right there. Africa, South America.
Same impossible shape, drawn again and again and again. Tonight, we're going to step inside that darkness. We're going to walk into the places ancient people feared to approach, but still chose to document. We're going to retrace the footsteps of explorers who insisted these beings were real, even when it cost them their credibility, their sanity, or their lives. And we're going to ask the question.
Okay, so this is definitely South America right here. So this is South America connected to Antarctica. This is Antarctica down here. Connected. So South America and Antarctica were once connected. And this can explain why they're finding our people down there. So they're finding our people down in Antarctica, remains of our people. Not black people or white people, Indian people, indigenous people. So with all the cavets established, the researchers concluded a cranium showed both mongoloid and caucasoid traits. You know what they say about us, right? That those are the traits we show, mongoloid and caucasoid traits. They do say that we're Siberian and Eurasian, right? But that's not what we are. We are Amerindian or Amazonian. We're indigenous Americans. There's 4 tribes of man: red, black, white, and yellow. We are not yellow, we are red. Science has yet to catch up to reality. But anyway, this Navarro theorized would match an early 19th century southern Chilean person who was many are in that region, descending from indigenous people and white sailors. So they're saying that this skull is of a Chilean girl that is of majority indigenous descent mixed with white sailor. So that happened to a lot of us over here. Indigenous people have admixture of European from the colonizers. Not a lot, but what happens with a lot of people in the Americas is they'll have admixture, white or black and then the offspring of that admixture is a half breed, right? They get bullied. They get bullied for being light or too dark, not looking like your people, right? So what happens is they don't keep mixing. Sometimes they do, and they move on, and then generations later, you got a whole group of people saying they're all Indian, right? Well, what did you do to upkeep that Indianness? Did you keep mixing out, or did you come back to the circle and mix with your own kind, right? So what happens is people that are like a half breed, they don't want their children to go through that. So what they'll do is they'll go have kids with a full blood to make sure their kid doesn't go through any type of bullying. Me, I got admixture from generations ago. Both my parents are enrolled. All four of my grandparents are enrolled. 7 out of 8 of my grandparents are enrolled. 14 out of 16 of my great grandparents are enrolled. 28 out of 32 of my great great grandparents are enrolled, right? So you get the gist. So me, I went and had a kid with someone that was Seneca. So my daughter would be Seneca. So my daughter is now native. But yeah, my daughter, she's gonna have kids with a full blood. Can't have kids with no non-native. The fuck? The fuck do you thought this was? Anyway, but yeah, rewriting Antarctic history. They're saying that they they don't know really what it is, but they theorizing that it's indigenous because these are the only people that are near that region, and this continent was once connected to it. As you can see the Caribbean islands right here. See Africa right here, South America. This is Brazil, but it was connected to Antarctica at one time. That's probably all ice right there, connected to South America, Brazil, Africa, Atlantic Ocean, and then the Caribbean down here. Hey, we're gonna go on. Damn, nobody comments on Facebook. Yeah. There more coffee? Okay.
um, study of the ear, astrological references to the ear. So I start to speculate that we have all these engravings. These, this has a specific look to it, right? You have all these different engraving type looks. Let's go back to this, right? So we have, right? Let's look at this example. You know what I mean?
It's time for a new kind of value menu. Hello, Panera's new mix and match menu.
You can't live on the business end of a driving range. Oh, serpentine, Marcy.
Split into 3 separate tribes: the turtle, the turkey, and the wolf. The wolf tribe included the mountains.
Do you see the alligator right there?
journals from the 1600s and these earliest history books of the Susquehannock and of the Lancaster County area, we begin to see a history that we seldom hear discussed. And I will leave links to these books and these journals down below, and I would love for you to check them out yourself. But beginning where the journals and the history starts according to these books, we have origin stories for the Susquehannock people. However, we must note that none of these stories come directly from the Susquehannock. One of the most famous that is told here is that the Susquehannock stemmed from the original Lenape tribe. According to Lenape tradition,
I don't know if I believe that. This is what I mean, y'all. This is why I do this. There is so much misinformation online. We just went over the extinct languages, extinct Iroquoian languages. Why is Lenape an Algonquin language? If Susquehanna are Iroquoian speaking people, I'm going to count to 5 in Susquehanna, and I'm going to count to 5 in Seneca. I'll count to 5 in Seneca first. Scad, Dickney, Saint, Gay, Weiss. That's Seneca. I'm going to count to 5 in Susquehanna. Anscott, Dickney, Axe, Rain, Wick, Whisk. That's the same. Anscott, and then you got Scad. Dickney is the same, or Dickney. Saint and Axe, those are different. Gay and Rain. Weiss and Whisk. Yeah, Susquehanna is a Iroquoian speaking people. What's 7? Jodok and Seneca. I don't know what I can only count to 5 in Susquehanna. But they say, this guy is saying Susquehanna come from Lenape. Lenape aren't Iroquoian. Susquehanna are Iroquoian. There are also giants and mound builders.
the Lenape, as with most other indigenous groups, came from the west. The Lenape arrived to the Susquehanna Valley over the Allegheny Mountains, only to continue south.
Allegheny. We got Allegheny Senecas.
Towards the Mississippi Valley. Upon arrival in the Mississippi Valley, the Lenape discovered vast, fortified cities inhabited by indigenous people of a substantial size. In my previous videos, we've discussed the ancient mound builders, today attributed to the Adena and the Hopewell cultures. In my videos on St. Louis, we talked about how St. Louis and the surrounding area was the epicenter for ancient mounds in America. Now we have this ancient Lenape tradition, told in the 1600s, where the Lenape encountered these fortified cities and mounds when they went to the Mississippi Valley. The Lenape, according to this tradition, placed the mound builders at twice their own size. The Lenape joined forces with all the surrounding native groups, and they went to war with these mound builders, defeating the mound builders, who they referred to as Alagui or Alajui.
So this guy doesn't know that Alajui and Allegheny is actually the same. He doesn't know that. Of course he's not. He's not native. This is what I mean. Non-natives cannot teach native history. That guy isn't smart enough or native enough to know the two are connected. Allegheny and Allegheny. I'm sorry, bro. You shouldn't be teaching our history. Now I gotta react. Now I gotta react to his shit and correct him the whole time.
However, some remained in the area and they joined the Lenape tribe. At this point in the Lenape tradition, we are told the Lenape tribe split into 3 separate tribes: the turtle, the turkey, and the wolf. The wolf tribe included the mound builders, or the Alajui, that had remained from the previous culture.
The Allegheny. Like the Allegheny. Like the Allegheny Senecas.
And it also included the finest Lenape warriors. This wolf tribe would go on to settle in the Susquehanna Valley, creating the earthworks of the area and becoming who the Europeans referred to as the Susquehannock. Furthering this discussion, in direct conversation with the Susquehannock, we have no relation of this Lenape tale. The Susquehannock, according to their own account, believe themselves to be an ancient people who arrived to the Susquehanna Valley from over the Great Mountain, being the Allegheny Mountains. Interestingly, we can see similarities here in the spelling between Allegheny or Allegheny
Yo, and you know
the
what?
Allegheny. However, the Susquehanna.
So this guy is trying to say that the Susquehanna come from the Lenape, right? And that they actually don't. He's saying, I went over it yesterday, the extinct Iroquois languages, Susquehannock is one of them, right? So if they came from the Allegheny Mountains, the Allegheny Mountains are in Seneca territory. You have the Allegheny Senecas, my people, right? I'm a Cattaraugus Seneca, but I used to live out Allegheny, right? So you got the Allegheny Senecas. Senecas are part of the Iroquois language family. It's Seneca Onondaga is an Iroquois dialect. Onondaga, Great Hill people, Great Mountain people. Susquehanna are mound builders. There are also giants, along with Senecas. Oneida adopted Susquehanna into their tribe, a lot of them. So that DNA still lives on today, this giant DNA. And that's why my tribe still has one of the tallest Native Americans. So if the Susquehanna are saying they come from the Allegheny Mountains and they speak a Iroquois dialect, why the fuck would they be a Lenape, come from Lenape Algonquin people? That don't make no fucking sense. They're not even part of the same language family.
Anna, in their own accord, have no record of before traveling over the Great Mountain.
And these are going to be the tribes and that have to do with the Hebrew tribes, yo.
The
Straight up.
Susquehannock, according to these journals, were much more
This is
advanced than the other indigenous groups
old
which
account.
surrounded them. Yet the Susquehannock also used brutal war tactics, which left any nation that came in their path to be nearly, if not completely, destroyed. In one journal entry, we are told of the Susquehannock's most recent war, which was with the Mohawks. The Susquehannock reduced the Mohawk numbers so greatly in under 10 years that by the early 1600s, only 10% of the Mohawk population remained. The Susquehannock,
damn, and now they're the biggest. Now they're the biggest. There's like 30,000 Mohawks, yo. There's lots of Mohawk tribes of Canada.
Stature are journaled as being extraordinary horsemen who used war tactics, including flanking, to defeat their enemies. And one of the
That's what we gotta look up. Look, see the Star Fort? White man didn't build that Star Fort. Red man built that Star Fort. Susquehanna built those Star Forts. They built those Star Forts on top of mounds. And those mounds are just buried pyramids from the mud flood. There's a flood that happened. That's what buried half of the cities and half of our fucking shit. And this happened right after the residential school era. So it went in perfect timing. Like it's all tied together. Our people are not a primitive people. They have brainwashed our own people into thinking that, yo. We got history here and they're hiding it from us.
graphic experiences noted here, said to be given directly to the writer by one of those afflicted, the Susquehannock are said to have captured another group that was attempting to attack the Susquehannock fort under night's cover. The Susquehannock are said to have thwarted the attack, only to capture hundreds of opposing warriors. The Susquehannock are then said to have scalped the opposing chiefs alive in front of their kinsmen while consuming the flesh off of the still living bodies right in front of their eyes. The stories of brutality amongst the Susquehannock were only heightened by the fear that the other indigenous groups had of them. We have multiple accounts of smaller nations or tribes having conflicts with each other, only to set aside their differences to band together when the Susquehannocks approached. For hundreds of years, the Susquehannock were never defeated. Diving into this narrative further and tying the Susquehannock to Lancaster County, we actually have the well-known John Smith exploring the Susquehanna Valley in the year of 1608. By his account, the Susquehannock were a reclusive group who used smaller nations to conduct much of their business. After a week's wait, John Smith was finally greeted by Susquehannock warriors. It is written these warriors were substantially larger than their European counterparts, all standing at least 7 feet tall. It is also written that the Susquehannock maintained a massive city where the chiefs and most of their population resided. When John Smith asked to see the city, and with subsequent visits to
a city that we built cities on top of our cities. They want you thinking, oh, they were living in villages. No, people, we've been here the longest. The cities were built on top of our cities, and then our own people built the buildings on top of our old buildings. Our own people built these cities, yo. Look it up. Look it up. I talk about it all the time. Your history is written on those buildings, yo. Your face is on the fucking building. Your language is on the buildings downtown. Every city. Think I'm lying? Go look. Your language is on the fucking buildings downtown, people. Go look. I want all my indigenous people. We gotta start flooding these cities and let them take back our shit, yo. City of Onondaga. I always remember how to say that because you Onondaga. What is that? Pittsburgh? Onondaga. There we go. That's good.
city, we have an absolutely epic spectacle that comes to light. The Susquehannock capital, or city, was known as Conestag, and it was brilliant by all accounts. It was said to be walled, or fortified, complete with layers of earthworks, stone construction, and walled palisades with trees nearly 100 feet in height. The city was surrounded on two sides by the Susquehanna River, the other two sides guarded first by large embankments or earthworks, followed by a palisade or fortified wall of trees strategically placed nearly 100 feet tall. Beyond that was yet another wall constructed of earth and wood, and beyond that wall were houses also made of stone, brick, and wood. The Susquehannock capital also had multiple cannons as well as smaller firearms.
No, crazy weasel
Again,
bear. No,
this
it's
account
not.
comes to us from 1608, which would indicate the Susquehanna
I
had a
know.
superior knowledge of firearms even before
It's
direct
'cause I'm
interaction
awesome
with
like that,
European
bro.
settlers.
It's because I'm awesome like that. Mm-hmm. Here we go.
Welcome to Wix Harmony. Take the speed of AI and pixel level control.
Not only routed the 800 Seneca warriors, but the 300 Susquehannock boys were also said to have been the same size, if not taller, than the adult Seneca men. Just a little more food for thought in this narrative. As for roughly 200 years of European history in America, the Susquehannock appeared to be unconquerable. That is, until the trickery and rewriting of the narrative. History tells us that this group, the Susquehannock, that was undefeated in major battles until roughly 1671, who ruled over the majority of what became 3 different states. The narrative tells us that by 1675, the Susquehannock were easily defeated by the Iroquois and forced to leave their capital in Pennsylvania to move towards Washington, D.C. Luckily, even in the...
They were what? So this is history. You're listening to real history right now. Susquehanna, giant mound builders. Now, Iroquois people defeated these giants. We have stories of fighting these giants. We have stories of stone giants. Now, I'm trying to see if people are trying to link these people to these lost tribes too. Because, you know, in the William Penn letter, they were talking about the Delaware Lenape. And they do say that these people descend from them. And I don't believe that these people actually descend from them. I believe that the Susquehanna are Iroquoian people. Their language is Iroquoian. But just because you speak a language doesn't mean you're that. I mean, I speak English doesn't mean I'm English. You know, I'm Seneca. So I understand.
Current narrative, we have modern scholars that are calling malarkey on that one. More likely, it's argued that Charles Calvet, the governor of the Maryland province, promised.
Look, this is how Indians were living. This is how natives were living, y'all. Hold on. Just so you know, that's how the natives were living. An Indian fort, the Susquehannock. 2-story, 3-story buildings, yo. In a city. 2-story, 3-story buildings, people. That's how our people were living. That's how our people were living, y'all.
Certain trade amenities and gifts to the Susquehannock, as well as arms and protection if they moved into his province and built a new colony.
He said, why y'all ain't living like that now? What res have you been to even speak on us like that? Love life? Listen, I could go downtown to the hood and your people are gonna be running up to me, begging me for cigarettes, begging me for $1. I'm gonna have to tell them to fuck off. You know, that's no. Your people are the ones that need to step their game up. Who said I'm from the hood? Yeah, I mean, I'm saying you're trying to talk shit about Native Americans and their living situation. I mean, take a look at yourself and your people before you talk shit about other people, bro. That's what I'm saying. They don't call natives roaches. They call y'all that.
Could even take this a step further and see how Washington, D.C. and the surrounding area was largely unoccupied and undeveloped at this time. It was still an unknown. That is, until the Susquehannock moved into the area in 1675, establishing the first trade routes, earthworks, and palisaded forts on the same location that would become the United States capital over 100 years later. Then we have a very strange event. It is largely believed that colonists either orchestrated raids themselves or hired other indigenous groups to conduct raids on newly founded European settlements nearby the new Susquehannock capital in Maryland. The Susquehannock were then quickly blamed for these raids, and a 1,000-man militia was organized to eliminate the Susquehannock from the area. It's almost as if the colonists hired the Susquehannock to clear out Washington, D.C. and the surrounding area, to establish trade routes and settlements, to help construct roads and structures, and then to kick them out of the region before taking it over. But I digress. The siege of the Susquehannock fort was said to have lasted for over 6 weeks. Does it really make sense that a simple earthwork and wood palisaded fort would take 6 weeks to penetrate? Or could it be that the Susquehannock had constructed far more advanced structures than they are given credit for in the current narrative? And these feats.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Of indigenous engineering were deemed to be quite difficult.
We were living in 2-story, 3-story buildings, people. Don't let these people tell you that you're a primitive person. You are not. You are not.
For the Europeans to conquer. We're told the Susquehannock escaped in the middle of the night in early winter, with a large portion of their people giving up their identities and assimilating with the nearby Lenape. An estimated 60 to 90% of the Susquehannock assimilated with other indigenous people.
Look at them all tatted up, too. All tatted up. Who's like that today? Who is like that today? Looks like a MS-13 member. Straight up. Put some saggy pants on him and fucking, yeah, yo, looks like fucking MS-13. Put some gray sweatpants that fuck with some numbers on them. Yeah, yo, that's MS-13 all day right there.
During this time, as the governments of
Like I said, our Latino and Hispanic relatives, they've been heavily colonized. They were not conquered. Their warrior spirit still lives on in them.
both Virginia and Maryland had declared war on them. However, the remaining 10 to 40% of the Susquehannock people returned to the Susquehanna River, to their original homeland in Lancaster, where the Pennsylvania government was willing to give them a sanctuary, a safe home to protect the last of their people, or so they thought. By 1681, the Susquehannock had established Conestoga Town in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, along the Conestoga River, a major
You do have Conestoga, New York, too.
tributary.
And you know what language Conestoga is? Hold on, let's look that up. Let's see what Conestoga is. It might be Seneca or Mohawk. An Iroquois-speaking tribe from the Conestoga people, also known as the Susquehanna. Okay. Yo, weren't we just looking at these fake tribes and they have the Conestoga Susquehanna tribe of fucking somewheres? Hold on. Real research right here, guys. On list of organizations right here. Let's look for it. Conestoga, Susquehanna. Virginia, Texas. These are all the fake tribes, people. Right here, Pennsylvania. This is a fake tribe right here, Conestoga, Susquehanna, right? And then you got this saying right here that Bethlehem. Yo, wait a minute. For those on YouTube, for those that were watching on YouTube, what does that look like? That word right there, Bethlehem. We're looking up the Blemiers, yo. Right here. There's a Blemier. Bethlehem, Blemier. I don't know. I think there's a connection. Owa, Kusecha, not fake. These are all fake tribes right here. Sorry. This is a website full of fake tribes. Is it a fake tribe? Is it a pretendian tribe? Is it a pretendian tribe?
Of the Susquehanna, which cuts through the land to create the boundaries for the county of Lancaster. The history of Conestoga Town is pretty remarkable. First, Conestoga is the British word for Susquehanna, and from that name, Conestoga, derives the term stogie, being the colloquial term for the cigar, a creation that was first introduced to European settlers by the Susquehanna. In the Conestoga Town, we also have the inventing or founding of the Conestoga wagon, the wagon that was said to have conquered the West. We also have the invention of the first repeating rifle occurring in the Conestoga Town, formerly known as a Conestoga or Lancaster, but now known as a Kentucky rifle. Conestoga Town became the trade hub of all of Pennsylvania outside of Philadelphia, and Lancaster grew to one of the largest cities in all of America. However, as many groups began to assimilate in the Conestoga town, the ancient customs became lost. Only a few pure-blooded Susquehannock remained, and among them, only a few elders could speak the Susquehannock language, which was known to them as the ancient tongue. By 1763, we're told everyone but the ancient Susquehannock speakers had left the Conestoga town, and these few remaining individuals, numbering around 20 or less, were the last to keep the ancient customs alive.
It's generated by nano with OpenArt.
Come on, gun.
Again, take this all with a grain.
Can you look up Ukesecha? Ukesecha means eagle men. What do you want me to look it up for?
An assault. But we're told a radical group known as the Paxton Boys formed in Pennsylvania looking to erase indigenous history and to claim indigenous lands. This group marched to the Conestoga town in the middle of the night, and the ensuing decimation saw every last Susquehannock lose their lives. From this point forward, the Susquehannock were considered all but extinct, and this was actually made law in 1941. A bill was proposed to protect descendants of Susquehannock people and provide them with protected land in Dauphin County, Pennsylvania. However, even though the bill was passed, it was immediately vetoed by the governor of Pennsylvania, Arthur James, who used court documents to claim that the last of the Susquehannock had died due to the Paxton Boys' attack in 1763. The Susquehannock have never been brought up again in a governmental capacity since that time period, and their purposeful erasing from our history is what I feel could be one of the biggest tragedies to have ever occurred on American soil, especially when we consider the possibility that the Susquehannock were involved in constructing some of our largest cities, including the American capital. I want to...
So, did you hear what he just said? An Iroquoian-speaking people, again, another Iroquoian-speaking people, responsible for building the biggest cities in the United States, even the capital, Washington, D.C. They are literally, the colonizers themselves are coming out and telling you guys that we are the ones that built this shit, yo. Iroquoian-speaking people. These are our people right here.
To end this video by showing you my visit to the King and Queen seat in Maryland, I was out exploring, looking for the second largest waterfall in Maryland, Kilgore Falls. And while in the forest on these trails, I found markers for a location that was called the King and Queen seat. So of course I had to visit. This site was actually said to have been where the Susquehannock would meet and hold ceremonies, and the king would climb to the top of this stone throne and he would make his speeches. So I climbed to the top of this 200-foot tall outcrop.
Do I gotta braid my hair today?
This
They
is
have
also
views.
said to be the
Goddamn.
location where in the mid-1600s,
But I have my hair
the
braided, my
Iroquois,
fucking
after
views
many years of
go
losing
crazy,
battles
yo.
and paying tribute, became
That fucking
equals to the
thick ass hair.
Susquehannock
That's some fucking
when the
thick
Iroquois
ass fucking
princess
hair right there.
was married to the Susquehannock prince.
That's the
Hence
thickest
the name
Indian
of
hair
this
they
site,
got, yo.
the King and Queen seat, thus
Fuck,
uniting the
that's
tribes after
I'm cool.
centuries of warring.
Chilling right now. Some good shit. Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda, yo. I cut myself the other day. I shaved my mustache
I'd like
off
to
like 2
end
days
this
ago and
video,
I cut myself real
true
bad.
ending of this video, by giving those who are interested a little bit of an update on my personal life, if you're unfamiliar.
Alright. Don't care. Don't care. Just kidding. Okay, so we got Conestoga Shinnecock Susquehannock tribe. Let's look this up then. Oh, yeah, we looked at this the other day. Yeah, they look like they're Susquehannock. We looked at their tribe, yo. We looked up these people on Facebook yesterday. This Conestoga Susquehannock people. They look native. They look part, the one lady did. But who knows? He could have just had her throw that shirt on and be like, yo, stand in this picture with me. Baby Yoda is prime. Yeah, that's what I got right now. And I can't read this other one. Blue. Burning. Okay, Burning Desire. Burning Desire and Baby Yoda. That's what it is. Burning Desire. I can't even read their handwriting. Both hybrids. Pretty good. From Treaty 6. Hey, what's up? But yeah, we looked up this tribe. Let's look up some more stuff. Now that we got a computer, this is all we look up. We're gonna copy and paste that shit. Iroquoian-speaking tribe originally inhabited the Susquehanna River Valley, what is now Pennsylvania. Let's look up territory map with that. You know why all these fake tribes are starting, right? Is because they're trying to make claim to the land. It's a land grab. That's what it is, people. That's what's going on. People are trying to make ties to this land any way they can. Taking shit. Yeah, gelato and coffee. I got Baby Yoda and coffee right now. Susquehannock tribe today. Let's see. And he's wearing a Gusto hat too. Oh, and it's expired. See, they don't want us to look at some of these websites, yo. Who the fuck is that? Yeah, yo, that's crazy. Okay, now this is what I'm talking about. It's like there's a wall. Novell, York. Novell, York. What? Novell, York. There's your Finger Lakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. God's handprint. Niagara. Niagara. People, it's Niagara, like Saratoga, Schenectady, Oswego, Cattaraugus. Cattaraugus. Delaware Indians. Damn, look how long their pipes are, yo. I want one like that. Hey, yo. That's what I want for my birthday. I want a big ass fucking pipe, yo. I'm 30 years old. And these guys got like a Hut Dewey mask on their thing, too. Here you go. Look at this Susquehannock Indian right here. Hold on. No. We're gonna have to go look at this real quick. That don't look like an afro. Yo, that's kind of like how my legs are built. Hey, it kind of looks like me, yo. All he needs is a neck tat, a throat tat, and a leg sleeve. Hey. And look, they got all the mounds on here too. Freemasons, the checkered floor. It kind of looks like my tattoo. It looks like a tattoo, yo. It's kind of like what my tattoos look like. I'm not even kidding. This is literally what, like, if this was in all black and gray, this is what my tattoos look like. Hold on. I got the banners. Banner. Banners. I got the banners. I got the banners. They had some interesting stuff. Let's check it out. You gotta type in ancient before you look up that stuff, though. Looks ancient Tartarian map. If you got East Asian in you and you're native, this is what you got in you, yo. Tartarian. You have Tartarian in you, not Siberian. Siberian is the new name of that place from the 18th century. So Siberia has only been called Siberia since the 18th century, guys. Or 19th century, 1800s. So Native Americans passed through there way before the 1800s. And these are ancient maps. All these old maps are just copies of older maps. You guys know that, right? All the maps are just copies of older maps. Put on my socks. Oh, we. You should do a mass unblock, then only mute people in the future, just as a thought. Yeah, I do got a lot of people blocked. Bro, I just get hate, yo. So I block the hate out, yo. I'm trying to make something for myself and out of myself, yo. People just hate on that, though. They hate to see people that they look at and they judge right off the rip as like a bad person or just like in a negative way, right? So they hate to see people like me do good. That's why they hate, because they're jealous that someone they think is less than them is doing better than them. That's why. That's why they hate, yo. Really. Listen, people hate on me so much, I broke it down to like a psychology science. I'm like, why would this person hate on me? And I'll go creep on their page and I'll realize like, oh, they're half white, or oh, like he's kind of chubby. Oh, he's he looks weak. Okay. So like I'll go look at their page and I'll realize, oh, this is why this guy is mad. Hurt dogs bark. Hurt dogs bark. Hurt people. That's what they do. If you're getting hated on by someone, just know that person fucking hates themselves. And that's why they're hating on you. Because you love yourself. Yeah, we got too much shit open.
Roughly no. And now, I'm happy to...
Okay. Shenandoah.
The Daughter of the Stars Theater proudly presents the Shenandoah Valley, a closer look.
Kind of gives me Longhouse vibes. Just kidding.
The Shenandoah Valley has been inhabited for over 12,500 years, as confirmed
Shenandoah is our people too.
by the Thunderbird site near Langton, Virginia. In the last 500 years, Western civilization encountered many local cultures. Among the native peoples contacted were the Iroquois, Shawnee, Piedmont Siouan, Catawba, Delawarean, and Susquehannock.
Susquehannock are Iroquois.
These tribes were active in the Middletown area of the Shenandoah Valley. It makes sense to find artifacts of these various tribes in the northern Shenandoah Valley. In Middletown, the easier way to access the valley from the north, the geological area just north of the valley and including the main opening of the valley, is known as the Piedmont Plateau. The Piedmont area is a natural pathway to the Shenandoah Valley. Part of the Piedmont leads up to the Potomac River Basin to southeast Ohio, Pennsylvania, and western New York.
Hey,
The wider section of the Piedmont
hey, what do you say?
Part of the Piedmont leads up to the Potomac River Basin to southeast Ohio, Pennsylvania, and western New York.
Hey. Okay, I see you.
The wider section of the Piedmont
Hayesville, Kieseltown. Where the fuck is this? Snyder.
pathway runs generally northeast to southwest. To Native American tribes, the Piedmont pathway
Towanda. Lackawanna. Okay. Is this that fucking fortified wall?
was known as the Great Warriors Path.
The Great Warriors Path is the Seneca Path. So the Seneca Trail is the war path. The Seneca Path is the war path.
The Great Warriors Path runs across western Maryland and into central Pennsylvania, where the Susquehannocks, Delawareans, and Algonquian tribes have their traditional homes.
Susquehanna is not Algonquian. This is why non-natives cannot teach our history. You're mixing tribes up and calling them things that they're not.
The Shawnee came from what is now Ohio and West Virginia. The Iroquois came from Ohio, western New York, and Pennsylvania.
Look at this gray area. Look at this gray area. They don't want to give us Ohio. That is Seneca land right there. So on maps, they leave Ohio blank, yo. Shawnee and Seneca. So the tribe that lived in Ohio was the Erie. Erie got wiped out and assimilated into the Seneca. Shawnee and Seneca have, had trade with one another. They were nearby tribes. You can find, they actually mingled with one another. So you got lots of Shawnee that have Seneca ancestry, actually. So Seneca and Shawnee did mix. So this gray area in Ohio is Seneca land, yo, and they don't want to give it to us. They want us thinking we're way over here in fucking just Western New York. No. We were keepers of the Western door. Way out here to the west, to the Mississippi, and then some. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Come on. You're good. Let's get back.
The Cherokee and Catawba came from the Shenandoah Valley from the south. These tribes are most often identified from their archaeological record left behind. Arrowheads, spear points, grinding bowls, and other Stone Age type tools that were obviously human-made are identified.
The world's oldest metalworks have been found in the Americas, but they still want you thinking you come from rats, lizards, and monkeys in Africa.
Through different types of working marks on the stones themselves. Each tribe had their own distinct way of making arrows, spear points, and other utilitarian items. This is how the specific tribe can be identified. These tribes are the best documented that have been in the Shenandoah Valley for the last 500 years. Others are documented as having been in the area, but it is unclear and uncertain if they were members of these tribes or a moving settlement of people in the area. One report from early Western contact documented a tribe called Shenandoah that was located around...
What? Shenandoah. Shenandoah. So that looks like, I feel like a lot of time these colonizers, a lot of the time they angelicalized or Latinized our names. And what that means is they colonized our names, basically. They fucked up. They didn't know how to spell it right. They didn't know how to pronounce it right. So, Cayugahono became Cayuga. This looks like a misspelling of Shenandoah or Shenandoah, Shenandoah, or Seneca. And they could have been talking to Seneca people that they're trying to say they're Seneca. The way we spell like Seneca, if you're gonna say Seneca people, you'd say Seneca onondowaka eono, and that means people. Seneca people. Hold on, let me pull up my dictionary real quick. I got one right here.
Modern-day Timberville, Virginia. Timberville is southwest of Newmarket.
We'll look it up later.
I-81. Was this separate tribe that was uncounted documented? Was this disinformation? Or was it corruption of the language? Or misinterpreted understanding?
See? Senadeo, yo. Come on.
Early Westerner?
It seems like it's Seneca, Senadeo, Shenandoah, 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 or Shenandoah. But Shenandoah, Senadeo
is unclear. No follow-up or distinct tribe was later documented. There are many things known.
It could have been wiped out too. A bunch of Hunyos could have just went in there with pitchforks and clubs and muskets and burned down everything and wiped them out.
and many still left to be discovered in the ever-unfolding story of the Shenandoah Valley. Shawnee comes from the Algonquian word, Shanogi, meaning southerner. However, this referred to the Shawnee's original location in the Ohio Valley, relative to the
See? The rest of Ohio is a gray area. Why is it like that?
other Great Lakes tribes.
And then all the shit is in our language. Erie is in our fucking language. Erie, Ohio. Most of these lakes are in our language too. Lake Erie. Come on. Allegheny, Giant Land.
All of this is ethnocentric perspective. From Canada, we are all Southerners. According to the National Park Service, Shawnee usually prefer to call themselves Shawano, sometimes given as Shawanese. Could these have been the Shenandoah encountered earlier? Perhaps. During the summer, Shawnee gathered into large
Shenandoah in Virginia is Shenandoah. That's what it is. Shenandoah, they're mixing up Shenandoah of Virginia with Shenandoah. Shenandoah. And a white man writes that down. They say Shenandoah. Right man writes that down. It's going to look like Shenandoah. You know, so yeah, there's a confusion here. Shenandoah of Virginia or Shenandoah of Virginia, and it went Shenandoah of Virginia. This is a mix-up of the words and mispronunciation. And then now, no wonder why they can't find the Shenandoah. It's because it wasn't the Shenandoah, it was the Shenandoah.
large villages of bark-covered longhouses, with each village usually having a large council house for meetings and religious ceremonies.
Yep.
In the fall, they separated to small hunting camps of extended families.
So their ancestors, a lot of African Americans, their ancestors saw our ancestors. They saw them dressed like this with the braids, with the hat. They saw us, yo. Right? They saw us like this. They saw us like this. Now, tell me, I see African Americans dressing like this with the braids from Snoop Dogg. This is the OG Snoop Dogg right there, yo. That is the OG Snoop Dogg right there. So what had happened was their ancestors saw our ancestors, and when they saw them, they were so infatuated with them because they were not only free, they were a dark people walking around free, and this was their land. This is our land, right? We lightened up due to colonization, and because we're not out in the sun 24/7, hunting for our food, farming for our food, working on our houses outside 24/7. We're not doing that. So we're not going to be outside with sunburnt faces like this. It's what it is. It's a sunburnt face, not sunburnt, but just a real tanned face. I'm telling you, you can look at black and white pictures of these people. They're going to look like haunt jeeps. But yeah, they saw our ancestors and they were infatuated with it. So who you aspire to be will come out in your children. It may not, you'll aspire to be that, whoever you look up to or your role model, right? But it will come out the most in your children because your DNA will alter. Their DNA have altered to be like this, to be like the original inhabitant of North America. Their ancestors saw our ancestors dressed like this. Now look at them. They all dress like this. Yo, come on.
Men were warriors who did the hunting and fishing. Care of their cornfields was the responsibility of the woman. Many Shawnee ceremonies were tied to the agricultural cycle. The spring bread dance at planting time, the green corn dance when the crops ripened, finally, the autumn bread dance to celebrate the harvest. Famous Shawnee individuals we encounter in American history are Tecumseh Cornstalk, Blackfish, Blackhoof, and Blue Jacket. We will cover these impactful personalities in later videos. The Delawarean are one of the Algonquian-speaking tribes from southern Pennsylvania and the northern Delmarva Peninsula. In 1600, the Delawarean may have numbered as many as 20,000, but several wars and at least 14 separate epidemics reduced their population to around 4,000.
Blue jacket, red jacket, yeah. I think there's a yellow jacket. Yeah, yo. Green jacket. So actually, on my dad's side, so my auntie and my uncle's side, they're green. They're greens, right? And their last name used to be, before, a long time ago, hundreds of years ago, it used to be Green Blanket, actually. So when they Latinized their names or angelicalized their names or colonized their names, they cut them in half, took the color off of it or kept the color, went from like brown bear to brown, went from green blanket to green, went from black kettle to kettle.
The worst drops in population occurred between 1655 and 1670. The Delawarean later absorbed people from several other Algonquian-speaking tribes. The
2
population
dogs,
figures
two
remained fairly
guns,
constant
yep.
until 1775. By 1845, the Delawarean population had fallen to a
Do I live on the res?
total of
No, I
about
live off
2,000,
territory. I was born and raised on the res, though.
which was carried
Born and raised
forward
Cattaraugus
confirmed
Indian
by the
Territory.
1910 census. The current Delawarean population has recovered to almost 16,000, most of whom now live in Oklahoma. The Iroquois, or Five Nations Iroquois, when first encountered, was composed of the Mohawk, Seneca, Cuyahoga, Huron, and Oneida.
Cuyahoga?
In the late 1700s, the Tuscarora
You
joined
mean
the Confederacy
Cayuga?
and made it the Six Nations Iroquois.
Fuck.
The Iroquois are one of the most influential Native American peoples in American history. Our current Constitution took many elements of organization and operations from the Iroquois. The Iroquois women were in charge of the longhouse. If a warrior did not behave properly, his things were placed outside of the longhouse by the house mother, and the warrior had to find another place to live. This practice is still common in modern society when couples split up. We will do a much deeper exploration of the Iroquois in upcoming videos.
Yeah, that's true.
From the
Your
south,
things will
the
be
Catawba
outside.
and Cherokee entered the Shenandoah Valley.
Yep, your mom will definitely do that. If you're Haudenosaunee, your mom will definitely do that to you. Put your things outside.
The tribes that sided with the colonists in the American Revolution. The Catawba were decimated by smallpox epidemics. The tribes still
I'm
survive
on
today.
territory, but off reservation. There you
From the
go.
south, the Catawba and the Cherokee entered the Shenandoah Valley. The Catawba were one of the tribes that sided with the colonists in the American Revolution. We will do a much placed outside of the longhouse. The Iroquois women were in charge of the longhouse. If a warrior did not behave properly, his things were placed outside of the longhouse by the house mother, and the warrior had to find another place to live. This practice is still common in modern society when couples split up.
Facts.
We will do a much deeper exploration of the Iroquois in upcoming videos.
Not just your woman, your
From the
mother will
south,
do it
the
too.
Catawba and the Cherokee entered the Shenandoah Valley. The Catawba.
We need to let the people know.
Part of the longhouse. If a warrior did not behave properly, his things were placed outside of the longhouse by the house mother, and the warrior had to find another place to live. This practice is still common in modern society when couples split up. We will do a much deeper exploration for one of the tribe upcoming videos.
Not just your woman, your mother will do it too.
Catawba and the Cherokee
Hurry the fuck up.
If a warrior did not behave properly, his things were placed outside of the longhouse by the house
Had a French name, Green Blanket.
find another place to live.
Blanket is as in old French. No, I said my uncle. So my half uncle and my half aunties, my brother, my dad's half brothers and sisters, they have a different dad. So their last name is Green. Was Green Blanket. It got changed to Green. And no, it wasn't French. Green blanket, yeah, is old French, right? That doesn't mean the name Green Blanket is French. Obviously, that name Green Blanket was a name that a native chose to be his last name, and then it got Latinized or colonized. It's got a colonized last name.
That sided with the colonists in the American Revolution. The Catawba were decimated by smallpox epidemics. The tribe still survives today, now centered in Rock Hill, South Carolina. The Cherokee are another well-known Native American tribe. The Cherokee were referred to as one of the civilized tribes by Western cultures. The Cherokee had their own written language and alphabet created to pictorialize the Cherokee language. The Great Sequoia, or George Geist, invented the Cherokee alphabet, and it was adopted by the Cherokee Council in 18...
Geist? You mean guess? But yeah, yo. We got natives wearing turbans. What's up with that? Is it because they got connections and ties? So those Muskogean tribes, those are the ones that got ties to those people, yo. Kanahawa is an Iroquois word, is it? It looks like it. Ganawa. That's how I would say that. Ganawa. Like gana, like na with a W, and ha. Ganawa. Ganawa. That's how I'd say that. You're on territory but off reservation. I'm gonna post that.
21. The Cherokee lived in log homes similar to early American settlers and are still part of the American tapestry today. After gold was found in North Carolina, the U.S. government wanted to move the Cherokee from their native lands. The Cherokee responded to the demand to move with a novel approach. The Cherokee took the U.S. government to court in the case Worcester v. Georgia. The Cherokee Nation won in the U.S. Supreme Court. Chief Justice John Marshall wrote, "The Indian nations has always been considered as separate and distinct political communities, retaining their original natural rights as the undisputed possessors of the soil. Even though Native Americans are under protection of the United States, protection does not imply the destruction of the protected." President Andrew Jackson simply went around the ruling. Jackson had the Army remove the Cherokee from their native lands in North Carolina. The resulting Trail of Tears was one of the sadder chapters of American history. We will explore this topic in more detail in later videos. There is a rich, deep, and diverse Native American story in the history of the Shenandoah Valley. We hope to bring you many more histories and insights.
Okay. Let me reset, guys.
At dawn one morning, in a quiet genetics lab at a
What if you could make a song using only your voice? Let's start with the drums.
The southern Appalachians in autumn look like something the earth invented to make people stay. For thousands of years, this was the heart of Cherokee country, western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee, and the high valleys of Georgia. For most of that time, the story seemed simple. The Cherokee were a southeastern people, their roots anchored in these mountains since the beginning of time. That story made sense until you looked at the language. Cherokee is an Iroquoian tongue. Every other member of that family, the Mohawk, the Seneca, the Oneida, lived 800 miles to the north near the Great Lakes. The Cherokee sat alone in the deep south, speaking a language that had no business being there. It is a mystery that has baffled experts for centuries. And now the DNA has finally revealed a secret that rewrites American history. Maps of the United States once painted a neat cultural boundary. In the southern Appalachian Mountains, the Cherokee distinct, enduring, and seemingly rooted since time immemorial. But language tells a different story. Cherokee is Iroquoian, a linguistic family whose other branches, Mohawk, Seneca, and Oneida, clustered 800 miles north, ringing the Great Lakes. No other Iroquoian language was ever spoken so far south. This lone outpost, separated from its closest relatives by forests, rivers, and centuries of movement, raises a question that refuses to go away. How did an Iroquoian tongue end up in the heart of the Southeast? The old narrative of a people always belonging to these mountains starts to unravel. To solve this, the story needs more than a map or a word list. It needs science.
Wait till we do find out about this linguistic connection that they keep mentioning between the Mayans and the Iroquoians.
The next clues lie not in dialect or pottery, but in the code written inside every cell. Mitochondrial DNA tells a story carried only through the maternal line. Every person inherits.
And it's funny because Iroquoian-speaking people are a matriarchal people. Clans and lineage is traced through the mother only.
Inherits this tiny ring of genetic code from their mother. Unchanged, except for rare mutations that build up over thousands of years. For Native Americans, nearly all maternal ancestry falls into just 4 founding haplogroups
that originated in the Americas. And look, this looks like a map. Look, it's not coming from the north, it's coming from the fucking south, yo.
The letters A, B, C, and D. These lineages, named by geneticists in the 1990s, trace deep roots back to Siberia and the first migrations into the Americas, about 15,000 to 20,000 years ago.
Cap.
Each haplogroup acts like a signature, marking ancient journeys and populations.
Okay, so get this right. So you mean to tell me that Native Americans walked all the way here from Africa? That means we're still indigenous to the planet because we can live in every climate. And that would mean we are, if life started in Africa and we walked all the way here from Africa, that wouldn't mean we're Siberian. It would mean we're African. Life didn't start in Siberia. So how the if we walked here from Africa, how the fuck would I be Siberian then? And if we walked all the way from Africa, that means that the original humans looked like us, not them. They mutated and changed. Come on, people. And then you mean to tell me that this little line here, this little glacier line, we were walking and we knew to walk through right up here and find this. There's a path. There's a path that we can take into the Americas. There's no fucking path, people. Now there is, but there was no path. It's because there's a fucking ice wall. There's an ice wall. This ice wall went even deeper into America, and it forced all of us down into Central and South America. Native Americans in North America, United States, Mexico, and Canada all have stories of migrating from the South. This is where we get our corn from. A lot of our languages connect down there. Udo-Aztecan. You got Udo-Aztecan people speaking that in the Rocky Mountains. Aztecs were down in Central America. The fuck? You're finding linguistic connections between Iroquoian. That's a people that speak in Canada, Great Lakes, New York area. Mayans were down in Central America. Come on. You're good.
Because mitochondrial DNA does not recombine like the rest of our genome, it offers a clear, direct window into maternal ancestry. By comparing the patterns and frequencies of these haplogroups across different tribes and regions, researchers can reconstruct how populations moved, settled, and
Indian territory. See? Look at this. Here's a map. This is what I'm saying, y'all. Look at that. Look at where the Seneca's at. Look at where Seneca is at on the map. What did I tell you guys? What did I tell you guys? This isn't even the furthest west I've seen Seneca. I've seen Seneca listed like this next to Shawnee, way over here. You have Senecas now in Oklahoma and Kansas. We are keepers of the western door. We went past the Mississippi. They are telling us that we were only here. No. Keepers of the western door, people. We had an empire. That's why New York State is the empire state. Come on, y'all. But we got to screenshot this real quick. We got to get a screenshot of this map. Screenshot. There you go. There we go. Hold on. Make sure we got that shit. Downloads. Okay, yeah, we got that shit. We're good.
And sometimes vanish.
You're good.
This genetic framework sets the stage for unexpected findings, anomalies that challenge everything the textbooks once claimed.
Yep.
In 1999, the debate over haplogroup X shifted from speculation to scientific fact. Two independent teams, working continents apart, published results that would withstand the closest scrutiny. Each lab extracted mitochondrial DNA from Native American volunteers in sterile, isolated facilities. Every sample under
Tom Ogle drove 200 miles on only 2 gallons of gasoline.
Royal Raymond went duplicate PCR amplification, with negative controls sequenced alongside to detect even the faintest trace of contamination. The findings were clear. The X2, a subcloud, appeared in a distinct set of Native American lineages, with a genetic signature absent from all known European or Near Eastern samples. Cross-checks with hundreds of contemporary European genomes confirmed the pattern. No overlap, no recent admixture. By sequencing the same region in multiple labs and replicating the results, researchers closed the door on the idea of laboratory error or...
Look at that map. Look, they're calling Terra Florida, United States, Terra Florida. Nois Orbis. And they got boats on the other side coming from Asia. Look, that must be California. That's the lost continent of Mu. This was when California... This is the lost continent of Mu. And that's when California was disconnected from the United States. It's actually the lost continent of Mu. And it slammed in the United States. And that's how you got the Rocky Mountains. It's from those two tectonic plates.
Colonial contamination. The conclusion was inescapable. X2A was ancient, rooted in the Americas long before Columbus, and its presence demanded a new look at the story of who the Cherokee and their northern cousins really were. A single map published in 2002 changed the way researchers visualized the mystery. Nearly 1,600 mitochondrial DNA samples from tribes across North America were plotted as a heat map, each point marking the frequency of haplogroup X2A. The result was impossible to ignore. A vivid hotspot glowed around the Great Lakes, stretching from Michigan and Ontario through the heart of Iroquoian and Algonquian country. In this region, X2A appeared in up to 12% of some tribal groups, Ojibwe, Menominee, Sioux, while in the southeast, including the Cherokee homeland, it dropped to less than 1%. When the genetic map was overlaid with the historical boundaries of Iroquoian languages, the match was almost exact. The spatial overlap suggested more than coincidence. It pointed to a shared past, a population movement from north to south, written in both language and maternal DNA. For the first time, genetic geography and linguistic history converged on the same answer. Linguists working with hundreds of core words and sound changes have used Bayesian models to trace the Cherokee language's split from its northern relatives. Their calculations point to a divergence 3 to 4,000 years ago, matching the era when Iroquoian-speaking ancestors would have left the Great Lakes behind. In Cherokee oral tradition, the Kituwa stories echo this timeline. Elders recall a migration from the north, a journey carried in memory long before it was mapped by science.
You know what's crazy though? So Cherokee is southern Iroquoian. We are northern Iroquoian. They have migration stories of coming from the north, but we have migration, old migration stories of coming from the south. Now, northern Iroquoian is proto-Iroquoian, the original Iroquoian. I believe that Cherokee did come from us, that they did migrate down there from up here. But we also were up here before, and we were forced down into Central and South America during the Ice Age. That ice sheet that I showed you a couple slides ago, that sheet was further down south to like the Midwest. So it forced all the tribes in Canada and the United States down Central and South America. All tribes in the United States have ties to the Olmecs, Mayans, and Aztecs, whether you like it or not. Your people just didn't tell you about it, and that's lost history. To the main biggest cultures, you got ties to the pyramids, you got ties to the mounds. All of us do. Anybody that's indigenous to America has those ties. Straight up. But yeah, I believe that they did migrate down from the Great Lakes, but we also migrated from south.
The clock of language and the memory of the people arrive at the same answer. An ancient movement hidden in plain sight, now confirmed by both word and blood. Genetics alone cannot tell the whole story. Mitochondrial DNA traces only the maternal line, one thread in a much larger tapestry. Rare lineages like X2A can vanish after a single generation. The Trail of Tears, in 1838, with a mortality rate near 25%, carved a deep genetic bottleneck into Cherokee history, erasing many ancestral lines. Modern DNA kits sold to consumers often miss these complexities and cannot substitute for rigorous, tribally approved research. Claims that haplogroup X ties Native Americans to ancient Israelites or Europeans ignore the science. X2A split from its Eurasian relatives at least 15,000 years ago and is found nowhere in the Old World. True answers now depend on partnership. Research must be guided by tribal consent, data sovereignty, and...
There you go. So, what's this though? Hold on. If you guys want to see, you're going to have... So, for those on YouTube and Facebook, you're going to have to come over to TikTok to look at this map I'm about to show people. So, here's that hotspot map. Hold on. Here's the hotspot map.
CARE principles.
That's the hotspot map of the X haplogroup. They're saying that it's not tied to the Israelites, but these are the tribes, northern and southern Iroquoian, lots of Algonquin too, but I believe that some of these Algonquin tribes are misclassified Iroquoian tribes. Should make this into a video and post it. It will be posted on you guys will be able to go watch this on YouTube and Facebook. So on Facebook, I'm not going to be deleting my lives anymore. So now that we go double live, there'll be live streams on Facebook and YouTube so people can watch this stuff. So, but yeah, so let me show the people over here what I got. This is the X haplogroup. It's a map showing like the heat signature. They did show it on the video a little while ago. Hold on, let's see. We can go back on the video. Where? This X haplogroup. Where the fuck? It's a heat signature of where they're finding it.
Appeared in
Come on.
EVE Online is a vast universe, alive with the unrelenting activity.
in up to 12% of some tribal groups, Ojibwe, Menominee, Sioux, while in the southeast, including the Cherokee.
Even in Arizona, there's a lake called Seneca Lake. I wonder how that got called that. I bet you they named it after the fucking Roman, though. Comes from the nearby unincorporated community of Seneca. There's a community called Seneca there? The community of Seneca. Wait, what? Ask Clay. Is this? Oh, I thought this the guy that lives on my right is Clay Logan. Oh, let's see. But what do they mean, Seneca? By the community of Seneca? Oh, it's a town called Seneca. This is Seneca Village, New York City. Think. What? Seneca is situated northeast of Globe, Arizona, between San Carlos Apache Indian Reservation. Oh, it's a town. Okay.
The homeland, it dropped to less than 1%. When the genetic map was overlaid with the historical boundaries of Iroquoian languages, the match was almost exact. The spatial overlap suggested more than coincidence. It pointed to a shared past, a population movement from north to south, written in both language and maternal DNA. For the first time, genetic geography and linguistic history converged on the same answer. Linguists working with hundreds of core words and sound changes have used Bayesian models to trace the Cherokee language's split from its northern relatives. Their calculations point to a divergence 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, matching the era when Iroquoian-speaking ancestors would have left the Great Lakes behind.
They did
In
that with the
Cherokee oral
language, yo.
tradition, the Kituwa stories echo this timeline. Elders recall a migration from the north, a journey carried in memory long before it was mapped by science. The clock of language and the memory of the people arrive at the same answer. An ancient movement hidden in plain sight, now confirmed by both word and blood. Genetics alone cannot tell the whole story. Mitochondrial DNA traces only the maternal line, one thread in a much larger tapestry. Rare lineages like X2A can vanish after a single generation. The Trail of Tears, in 1838, with a mortality rate near 25%, carved a deep genetic bottleneck into Cherokee history, erasing many ancestral lines. Modern DNA kits sold to consumers often miss these complexities and cannot substitute for rigorous, tribally approved research. Claims that haplogroup X ties Native Americans to ancient Israelites or Europeans ignore the science. X2A split from its Eurasian relatives at least 15,000 years ago and is found nowhere in the Old World. True answers now depend on partnership. Research must be guided by tribal consent, data sovereignty, and the CARE principles. The next chapters in this mystery will be written by the Cherokee themselves. Science still chases what Cherokee memory never forgot. Haplogroup X isn't proof of lost Israelites or Europeans. Those claims hijack the evidence. The real story, written in DNA and tradition, is far more extraordinary.
Taxes was chasing updates and getting nowhere. Now Taxes
not only through his own Cherokee ancestry discovered his own Jewish roots, but he's also leading the charge in the DNA discoveries of the ancient roots of the Cherokee and other Native American communities.
That's Chief Black Fox, and I discovered the original Cherokee origin narrative, which was recited at every Green Corn Festival. All the young people were made to learn it.
History loves a good mystery, and few are as whispered, debated, and quietly avoided as the origins hidden inside Cherokee DNA. For generations, stories have circled about strange markers, missing records, and questions no one in power seemed eager to answer. Scholars argue, families pass down clues, and somewhere between legend and laboratory results lies a truth America has never fully faced. In this video, we are pulling on the loose threads: government documents, oral traditions, suppressed research, and uncomfortable gaps in the historical record. Long before paperwork, enrollment numbers, or citizenship requirements existed, the Cherokee people were defined by place.
Is that within the Cherokee Nation itself, there was an unfolding story of remarkable drama.
Towns were not just where people lived, they were where identity was practiced. One of the most important of these towns was Chota, located in what is now eastern Tennessee. Chota served as a political and cultural center for generations, a place where leaders gathered and decisions affecting entire regions were made.
18 minutes.
It was a living symbol of Cherokee sovereignty.
All right.
That symbol didn't fade naturally.
Gaji.
In 1780, during the American Revolutionary War, American troops destroyed the town.
It can be hard to appreciate the life and death stakes in the colonists' fight for freedom.
What remained afterward was not simply rubble, but silence. By 1813, only a single Cherokee household still stood where a thriving community
This ain't straight, is it?
The disappearance of Chota wasn't an isolated event.
No.
It was part of
It's
a
not,
much
it's way
larger
over here.
pattern,
Oh wait.
one that slowly
A little
disconnected the
bit.
Cherokee people from their land, and over time,
What about now?
from how their identity was
Yeah,
understood.
better.
Okay.
As towns were destroyed and territories seized, Cherokee life was pushed into spaces increasingly controlled by outside powers. Identity, once shaped by kinship, language, and shared memory, began to be filtered through treaties, censuses, and government classifications. The story of the Cherokee people started to be told not by those living it, but by those recording.
So whatever these guys are gonna have in their DNA, Iroquois people are gonna have in their DNA. Cherokee, we are related to the Cherokee. They're Southern Iroquois. We're Northern Iroquois, and I'd like to wake my people up to that, yo. We're an empire, yo. Cherokee is one of the biggest fucking tribes, yo. We need to rekindle that fire, yo. Some say, oh, we already have, but no. Better, stronger.
That shift mattered more than anyone realized at the time. As Cherokee families were forced to move, split apart, or adapt under pressure, survival increasingly depended on being counted, on appearing in records that were never designed to capture the full reality of indigenous life. Names were written down, categories were assigned, lines were drawn. Over time, those early documents hardened into something permanent. What began as temporary records eventually became the official proof of who belonged and who did not. Today, the Cherokee people are represented by 3 federally recognized tribes, each shaped by a different response to removal, resistance, and survival. While they share common roots, their paths through history diverged in ways that still influence how citizenship is defined. What connects them now is not just ancestry, but documentation. Specific roles created at specific moments, often during periods of intense disruption. To claim citizenship in any of the 3 tribes, a person must prove direct descent from someone whose name appears on one of these rolls. Not stories, not tradition, a recorded entry. The largest of these tribes is the Cherokee Nation.
Scientists calculated the geographic center of all Earth's landmasses, every continent, every island, averaged together. The answer came back Central Turkey. Not Europe, not the broader Middle East, Turkey. And for over 1,000 years, cartographers from the 8th century through the 1780s agreed without knowing each other. They all placed the Garden of Eden in that same region. Then, around the 1800s, those maps started to change, and the old ones quietly disappeared. It began with a single map, a 1780 map drawn by a Welsh cartographer named Thomas Bowen. His father was Emmanuel Bowen, official mapmaker to King George II of England and King Louis XV of France. These were not men who made guesses. Their entire reputation depended on accuracy. On Thomas Bowen's map, a region in eastern Turkey is labeled Terrestrial Paradise. Not in Iraq, not in Iran. In a province of modern Turkey most people today would struggle to find, Elazig. One researcher spent over a year cross-referencing that map against dozens of other historical maps, the Bible, geological records, and satellite imagery. What he found didn't just challenge the mainstream answer about where Eden was, it made the mainstream answer look like it came from a completely different set of coordinates. This is that story, and by the end of it, you may look at a map of Turkey very differently than you do right now. Most people, if you ask them, will say the Garden of Eden was in Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, the land between the Tigris and Euphrates. It's the answer schools teach, documentaries repeat, and encyclopedias confirm. But there's a problem with that answer. Genesis 2 is actually quite specific. It says a single river flowed out of Eden and then split into 4. Those 4 rivers were the Euphrates, the Tigris, the Pishon, and the Gihon. If Eden was in Iraq, Iraq is where those rivers would need to originate. They don't. The Tigris and Euphrates don't start in Iraq, they end there. Both rivers begin far to the north, in the elevated highlands of eastern Turkey, the region historically known as the Armenian Highlands, and flow south toward Iraq. The Bible says the rivers flow out of Eden. That means Eden is at the source, not the destination. That single observation moved the location from Iraq to Turkey, but the maps go much further. Real quick, to everyone who keeps coming back, a genuine thank you. It really does mean a lot. As always, everything I share here is the best of what I've been able to find and piece together. If something sits differently with what you know, please don't take it personally, and neither will I. Think of me as someone who reads a lot, but certainly hasn't read everything. Nothing I present here is the final word. Evidence changes, understanding shifts. I'd far rather be honestly uncertain than confidently wrong. Now, let's keep going. When you look at historical maps, not just one or two, but dozens of them, something becomes very clear very quickly. From the 8th century through the late 1700s, they all point to the same place. An 8th century map, one of the oldest surviving world maps ever found, shows Eden inside Armenia. A 1467 map labels eastern Turkey as Armenia Minor. A 1569 map of the same region.
Is it me? Or did this map right here look like Alaska? That looks like Alaska right there, yo. I'm sorry. It looks like Alaska, yo. This map of Armenia. Doesn't that look like Alaska? And that's Canada. I don't know. Looks like Alaska to me.
The 7 map labels eastern Turkey as Armenia Minor. A 1569 map of the same region draws Eden encircled by mountains, 4 rivers flowing outward from its center, labeled Armenia Major. Abraham Ortelius, one of the most respected cartographers in all of European history, produced a map in the 1500s placing Eden clearly in eastern Turkey. On his map, the war in Mesopotamia covers modern Georgia, Armenia, and eastern Turkey.
I'll catch y'all later,
not Iraq.
All right.
A 1704 map calls the region the Garden of Earthly Delights.
I got some shit I gotta do. I got some stuff. Some places I gotta go.
Modern satellite imagery, the geography.
We will come back and we will continue class later on. Everybody's welcome to sit in class and listen, enjoy, learn, drop knowledge, ask questions. Everybody's welcome. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I got some errands I gotta go run, so make sure you guys follow me so you guys can find me when I'm live later. If you do not subscribe on YouTube, you probably won't be able to find me later. So you guys gotta subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, follow, TikTok. Y'all know the deal. I'll catch y'all later. And peace, y'all.